Queen Rose stood at the massive window of her crystalline palace, watching the 3 moons of her homeworld rise over the horizon. Her delicate antennae drooped slightly, betraying the exhaustion she fought to hide from her advisors. The rejection message on her screen marked the 47th failure. 47 species had now turned down her request for diplomatic marriage. Your Majesty, her chief advisor, Blue, approached with careful steps. The Moss people of Sector 7 have sent their response. Rose didn't need to turn around. The gentle wobble in Blue's voice told her everything. They refused too, didn't they? Yes, my queen. They cited cultural differences. Cultural differences, that's what they all said. Rose's inner wings vibrated with frustration, creating a soft humming sound that filled the chamber. Her species, the stellar hive, had built wonders that spanned solar systems. Their medical technology could cure diseases that plagued other races. Their ships could fold space itself. Yet none of that mattered. How many species remain on our list? Rose asked, though she already knew the answer. Blue's compound eyes flickered with different colors, a sign of discomfort. Only the humans, Your Majesty. They're the only spacefaring race we haven't approached yet. Rose finally turned from the window. Her iridescent exoskeleton caught the light of the rising moons, creating patterns that danced across the palace walls. Humans, the newcomers who only achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago. Yes, my queen. They're young as a spacefaring species, but they've shown remarkable progress. The queen walked to her central command station, her footsteps making soft clicking sounds on the crystal floor. The display showed Earth, a blue-green world that looked so different from her own crystalline planet. The humans had only recently joined the galactic community, and many older species looked down on them. Show me their diplomatic history, she commanded. The screen filled with information. Unlike most species, humans had a chaotic pattern of alliances and agreements. They didn't follow the usual protocols. They made decisions that other races found strange or unpredictable. Some called them primitive. Others called them dangerous. Rose's antennae perked up with sudden interest. They've made successful treaties with both the mountain dwellers and the cloud swimmers. This was unusual. Those 2 species rarely agreed on anything. Yes, Your Majesty, humans seem to have a unique ability to adapt. They find ways to connect with very different species. The queen's wings hummed thoughtfully. Her species needed this marriage alliance. The stellar hive evolved through careful genetic exchange with other species, always diplomatic, always consensual. But in recent centuries, fear and prejudice had grown. Other races worried about their genetic gifts being absorbed by the hive, despite all evidence showing the process benefited both sides. Without new genetic material, her people would stagnate. Their technology would stop advancing. Their ability to solve problems would fade. They needed fresh perspectives, new ways of thinking. They needed adaptation. Send a message to the human embassy, Rose decided. Make it personal, not just a formal request. Tell them. She paused, her antennae wavering as she considered her words. Tell them I want to meet their representative myself. No intermediaries. Blue's eyes flashed with alarm. My queen. That's not the traditional way. The security risks. The traditional way has failed 47 times, Rose interrupted. Perhaps it's time we tried something new. Something more human. As her advisor hurried away to send the message, Rose turned back to the window. The moons had risen fully now, their light creating rainbow refractions through her crystalline palace. In their glow, she allowed herself to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The humans were different. They didn't follow the old rules. They didn't hold the ancient prejudices. Maybe, just maybe, they would see her people for what they truly were. Not thieves of genetic material, but seekers of growth through cooperation. Be different, she whispered to the distant image of Earth on her screen. Please, be different enough to understand. Tom Walker sat in his office at the Earth Embassy, reading the message for the 4th time. The holographic display showed the formal request from the stellar hive queen, but it wasn't like any diplomatic message he'd seen before. It felt personal, almost desperate. An alien queen wants to marry someone from Earth, he muttered, running a hand through his gray-streaked hair. At 53, Tom had seen many strange things in his diplomatic career, but this was different. His assistant, Pete, knocked on the door. "Sir, the science team's here with their report on the stellar hive." 3 scientists walked in, led by Dr. Mary Reed, Earth's leading expert on alien biology. She didn't waste time with greetings. "It's fascinating, Tom. The stellar hive's genetic structure is incredible." Tom gestured for them to sit. "Tell me why everyone's rejecting them. Are they dangerous?" Mary shook her head, her eyes bright with excitement. "Just the opposite. They're one of the most peaceful species we've studied. Their whole civilization is built on cooperative evolution." Cooperative evolution. When they form these diplomatic marriages, both species gain benefits. The hive gains new genetic traits, yes, but they also share beneficial mutations back. It's like a genetic library where everyone can borrow and contribute. Tom leaned back in his chair, thinking. Then why have 47 species rejected them? Pete pulled up more data on the wall screen. Fear, mostly. The older species spread rumors about genetic theft, but our research shows all exchanges have been consensual and beneficial. The stellar hive has actually helped cure diseases in several species through these marriages. A soft chime interrupted them. The holographic display showed a new message, a live transmission request from Queen Rose herself. Tom straightened his jacket. "Accept transmission." The air shimmered, and a life-sized hologram of Queen Rose appeared. Her crystalline exoskeleton sparkled even through the projection. Her antennae moved gracefully as she spoke. "Diplomat Walker." Her voice was melodious, with an almost musical quality. "Thank you for accepting my call." Tom stood, remembering his protocol training. "Your Majesty, it's an honor." "Please," she said, her antennae drooping slightly. "Call me Rose. I've abandoned formal protocol with 47 species. I won't succeed by hiding behind ceremony." The honesty in her voice surprised Tom. Most alien leaders buried their true feelings under layers of diplomatic speech. "Why humans?" he asked. "We're new to space. We don't have the advanced technology other species have." Rose's antennae moved in what Tom recognized as a smile. "Because you're different. Your species does something no other race does. You change yourself to solve problems. Other species create technology to adapt to new worlds. Humans adapt themselves." Mary stepped forward, unable to contain her scientific curiosity. "You've studied our biology." "Yes," Rose replied. "Your DNA shows countless small mutations from your time on Earth. You lived in deserts, in Arctic regions, in high mountains, and you changed to survive, just like we do." Tom felt a tingle of excitement. This wasn't just another diplomatic meeting. This was something new, something important. "There will be opposition," he warned. "Other species won't like this." "Let them oppose." Rose's voice carried a strength that filled the room. "My people need this. We need new perspectives, new ways of thinking. And maybe humans need us too. Think of what we could learn from each other." Tom looked at his team. Mary nodded eagerly. Pete gave a thumbs up. Even the other scientists looked excited. "Your Majesty." "Rose." Tom corrected himself. "I'd like to arrange a face-to-face meeting. Not with subordinates or representatives. Just you and me, talking about what this could mean for both our species." Rose's entire form seemed to brighten. "You would do this. Meet me directly. Sometimes the best diplomacy is just two people talking honestly," Tom said, smiling. "I think humans and the stellar hive might have that in common." For the first time in the conversation, Rose's antennae lifted in what was unmistakably hope. "Perhaps this is why we had to face 47 rejections. We were waiting for someone who understands. The meeting room on the neutral space station glowed with soft blue light. Tom sat across from Queen Rose, watching her crystalline form shimmer as she shared her story. Between them, a holographic display showed historical records of the stellar hive's past marriages. It wasn't always like this, Rose said, her antennae moving gently. 500 years ago, species would compete for the honor of joining with us. Tom studied the old records. The images showed grand ceremonies, joyful celebrations, and amazing technological advances that came from each union. What changed? The Shadow War. Rose's voice grew quiet. When the Dark Fleet attacked our worlds, many species helped us. Through our marriages, we gained their strongest traits. Better healing, stronger shells, quicker reflexes. We survived because of these gifts. That sounds like a good thing, Tom said, confused. It was. But afterward, rumors spread. Rose touched the display, showing newer records. They said we planned the war, that we arranged the attacks to steal genetic traits from other species. None of it was true, but fear is a powerful thing. Tom frowned. Something didn't add up. He pulled up more recent data on his tablet. These trade routes changed right after the war, all going through one system. The Empire of the Seven Suns. Rose's antennae drooped. They've always hated us. They spread the rumors, changed the trade routes. They made sure every species heard stories about how dangerous we were. Because they were afraid of you. No, Rose's crystal body flickered with colors of sadness. Because we refused to marry into their royal family. They wanted our ability to adapt, but they wouldn't share their own gifts. They wanted to take, not exchange. Tom stood up and walked to the window. Stars stretched out before him, countless worlds and species. So they turned everyone against you because you wouldn't let them exploit you. Yes, and now. Rose's voice cracked slightly. Now we're dying. Not quickly, but surely. Without new genetic exchange, we can't adapt to new challenges. Our children are born weaker. Our technology is starting to fail because we can't think in new ways. Tom turned back to her, his face serious. Show me proof. If we're going to help, I need evidence to take back to Earth. Rose waved her delicate crystal hands, and the room filled with new holograms. Medical records, birth rates, technological decline, all showing the same pattern. The stellar hive was slowly fading. There's more, she said softly. Something we've never told any species. Her antennae trembled as she spoke. We don't just gain traits from our partners. We dream their dreams. What do you mean? When we join with another species, we share their hopes, their ways of thinking. Their imagination becomes part of us. Rose stood, her crystal form catching the starlight. That's what we really seek. Not just genetic strength, but new ways to dream. New ways to see the universe. Tom watched her, understanding growing in his mind. That's what the Empire feared. Not your physical abilities, but our ability to change how people think, Rose finished. They couldn't control that, couldn't own it, so they decided to destroy it. Tom walked back to the table, his decision made. The Empire made one mistake, he said, smiling slightly. Rose's antennae lifted in question. What's that? They forgot about humans. We're too new to be caught in their old fears. And if there's one thing humans understand, he reached out, letting his hand hover near her crystalline one. It's dreaming of new possibilities. Rose's entire form seemed to glow brighter. Will you help us? Even knowing how others will react. That's another thing about humans, Tom said, his smile growing. We have a habit of helping those who need it, especially when others won't, and we're pretty good at proving old stories wrong. For the first time since the Shadow War, a stellar hive queen laughed with pure joy. The sound was like crystal bells ringing among the stars, carrying hope for both their species. The Earth Council chamber buzzed with excitement. 500 representatives from Earth's nations sat in the circular room, watching as Tom presented his findings. Behind him, huge screens showed data about the stellar hive. "Ladies and gentlemen," Tom said, his voice steady despite his nerves, "we're not just looking at a diplomatic marriage. We're looking at the next step in human evolution." Dr. Mary Reed stepped forward, pointing to the genetic displays. "The stellar hive's ability to share beneficial traits isn't just biological. They can share memories, ideas, even ways of thinking. And most importantly, they share these gifts back to their partners." A council member stood up. "Are you saying humans would change? Physically?" "Yes," Mary smiled, "but only in good ways. Better healing, stronger immune systems, maybe even longer lives. And we keep our human form, just a healthier version." Another council member raised her hand. "And what do they want from us?" Tom took a deep breath. This was the important part. They'd want our adaptability, our creativity, our ability to think in new ways. He paused, looking around the room. "They want our dreams." The chamber erupted in confused talking. Tom waited for it to quiet down. "Think about human history," he continued. "When we faced problems, we didn't just build tools. We changed ourselves. We spread across Earth, living in deserts, Arctic regions, high mountains. Other species build machines to survive. We adapt our bodies and minds." The room grew quiet as people considered this. "The stellar hive sees this as precious," Mary added. "They want to learn from us, just as we can learn from them. It's not about taking, it's about sharing." An older council member stood slowly. "What about the other species? The ones who rejected them? Won't they turn against Earth?" Tom nodded. "Some will. The Empire of the Seven Suns already sent threats. But think about this. 47 species rejected the stellar hive because they were afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of growth, afraid of new possibilities." He walked to the center of the room, his voice growing stronger. "But when has fear of change ever stopped humanity? When has being different ever held us back?" The screens behind him changed, showing Earth's history. The first boats crossing oceans. The first planes touching the sky. The first rockets reaching space. "We've always been the species that dares to change," Tom said. "The species that looks at the impossible and says, why not? The species that dreams bigger dreams." Mary stepped forward again. "The genetic benefits alone could solve half of humanity's medical problems. Their crystal technology could revolutionize our computers. Their space-folding ships could take us to the stars. But more than that," Tom added, "we could help save a species that values exactly what makes humans special, our ability to adapt, to change, to dream new dreams." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, in the back, someone started clapping. Others joined in. Soon, the whole room filled with applause. The council president raised her hands for quiet. "We will vote now. Remember, this decision will change human history forever." Tom and Mary waited as the votes came in. On the huge screens, the numbers climbed. Green lights for yes, red for no. Finally, the count stopped. The president stood. With 87% in favor, she announced, "Earth accepts the proposal of the stellar hive. We will proceed with the diplomatic marriage." Tom felt his tablet buzz. A message from Queen Rose. "Well?" He smiled and typed back. "Humanity says yes. We're ready to dream together." The response came instantly, with a picture of Rose's antennae glowing with happiness. "Then let us show the galaxy what happens when dreamers join forces." Outside the council chamber, the sun set on Earth. Tomorrow would bring challenges, threats, and opposition from other species. But tonight, two civilizations looked to the stars and saw not just points of light, but endless possibilities waiting to be explored together. The great crystal dome of the stellar hive's central palace sparkled with rainbow lights. Thousands of witnesses from both species gathered for the historic ceremony. Queen Rose stood on a platform made of living crystal, her exoskeleton shimmering with nervous energy. Beside her, Tom adjusted his ceremonial robe, trying to stay calm. "Are you ready?" Rose asked softly, her antennae quivering. "As ready as anyone can be to make history," Tom replied with a small smile. The ceremony combined both human and hive traditions. Earth's ancient wedding music played while crystal bells chimed in harmony. Dr. Mary Reed stood nearby, monitoring the genetic exchange equipment that would safely join their species' DNA. But not everyone celebrated. On the edges of the system, ships from the Empire of the Seven Suns watched with hostile intent. Their warnings had been clear. This union would not go unpunished. The high priest of the stellar hive stepped forward, his crystal form glowing with age and wisdom. "Today, we witness not just a marriage, but a new beginning. Two species, choosing to grow together rather than fear each other." He turned to the assembled crowd. Humans sat next to hive members, their differences forgotten in the joy of the moment. Cameras broadcasted the event across Earth and to every hive world. "The exchange will now begin," the priest announced. Tom and Rose stepped onto the genetic transfer platform. Soft blue light surrounded them as the ancient hive technology activated. Mary watched her instruments carefully, amazed by the precision of the process. "It's working perfectly," she whispered. "The genetic patterns are merging exactly as planned." Then something unexpected happened. As their genetic codes combined, both Tom and Rose began to glow. Not from the equipment. This light came from within them. "I can feel it," Tom said in wonder. "I can see through your eyes, Rose. The world, it's so beautiful in crystal vision." Rose's antennae danced with joy. "And I can see through yours. The colors. I never knew there were so many shades of emotion in everything." The crowd gasped as visible changes appeared. Tom's skin took on a subtle crystalline sheen, catching light like morning dew. Rose's crystal structure became warmer, more organic, while keeping its beautiful form. But the biggest changes were invisible. Tom felt his mind expanding, understanding crystal technology in ways impossible before. Rose felt human creativity flowing through her thoughts, showing her new possibilities she'd never imagined. Suddenly, alarms blared. Ships from the Empire had entered the system, weapons ready. "The Empire demands this abomination stop," a harsh voice broadcast across all channels. "This union violates the natural order." Tom and Rose stood firm, still connected by the exchange. Their response, when it came, emerged from both of them speaking as one. "The natural order is change. The natural order is growth. What you fear is not our differences, but the proof that those differences make us stronger." As they spoke, something amazing happened. The genetic exchange created unexpected benefits. Tom's new crystal-enhanced biology gave him insights into space-folding technology. Rose's new human adaptability showed her ways to improve hive defenses. Together, they activated the palace's ancient crystal defense system. A shimmering barrier of energy surrounded the system, far stronger than anything the hive had created before. The Empire's ships couldn't penetrate it. "This is only the beginning," Rose announced to the watching galaxy. "Together, we will show you wonders you never imagined." The Empire's ships retreated, but everyone knew this wasn't over. Still, as the ceremony concluded, hope filled the crystal dome. Two species had chosen to trust each other, to share their strengths, to dream together. Mary's final readings showed something remarkable. The genetic benefits were spreading naturally to both populations, making humans and hive members healthier and stronger. "It worked better than we hoped," she said, smiling at the newly joined couple. "You've opened a door no one can close." Tom and Rose stood together, their forms reflecting each other's light. The future held challenges, but they would face them together, not as two species, but as pioneers of a new way of living among the stars. 3 months after the ceremony, the galaxy had changed more than anyone expected. Tom stood in the Earth Embassy's main hall, now decorated with living crystal that responded to visitors' emotions. Before him, representatives from 5 different alien species waited eagerly. "Another request for partnership?" Rose asked, her hologram appearing beside him. Even across light years, their new connection let them sense each other's thoughts. 3 more today, Tom replied, smiling. The desert walkers want to learn about our water conservation methods. The cloud people are interested in our weather prediction abilities. And the deep space dwellers, they just want to talk. Rose's antennae moved in a pattern Tom now recognized as laughter. It seems rejection isn't as fashionable as it used to be. The changes were happening everywhere. Human scientists, their minds enhanced by crystal tech, had made breakthroughs in medicine and space travel. The stellar hive, inspired by human creativity, created new forms of art that spoke to all species. But not everyone celebrated these changes. The Empire of the Seven Suns had closed its borders, threatening war against any species that followed Earth's example. "We have a problem." Mary rushed into the room, her lab coat showing traces of crystal dust. "The Empire is spreading new rumors. They say the genetic changes are a disease that will destroy other species." Tom touched the crystal wall, feeling the network of information flow through it. "They're scared because they can't stop this. Every day, more species see the truth." A small ship appeared on the large screen, approaching Earth. It carried delegates from a species that had previously rejected the stellar hive, the Ancient Ones, known for their deep wisdom and caution. "They were the first to reject us," Rose said softly. 500 years ago, they said we were too dangerous to trust." The Ancient Ones' ship landed, and their delegation entered the hall. Their tall, ethereal forms seemed to float above the ground. Their leader, Elder Light, approached Tom and Rose's hologram. "We were wrong," Elder Light said, their voice like whispered wind. "We watched you these past months, watched how humans and hives shared their gifts freely, helped others without demanding payment, created beauty instead of weapons." Tom felt Rose's joy through their connection. The Ancient One's approval could change everything. But at that moment, alarms blared. Empire ships appeared at the edges of multiple systems: Earth, the hive worlds, and every planet that had shown interest in partnership. "This is your last warning." The Empire's message boomed across space. "Return to the old ways, or face extinction. We will not allow this corruption to spread." Tom looked at the Ancient Ones, expecting them to retreat. Instead, Elder Light raised their hands. Their ship transformed, revealing powerful weapons hidden beneath its peaceful exterior. "We remember the old ways," Elder Light announced. "They were built on fear. We choose the new way: cooperation, growth, shared dreams." More ships appeared, from species that had rejected the hive, from neutral worlds, even from distant galaxies who had heard the news. They formed a barrier between the Empire's forces and the worlds they threatened. Through their connection, Tom and Rose reached out to all of them. The crystal network they had built carried their words to every ship. The Empire fears change because they can't control it. They fear cooperation because they only understand dominance. But look at what we've achieved in 3 months. Imagine what we can do in 3 years or 3 centuries, working together. The Empire's ships charged their weapons. The moment of choice had come. But Rose and Tom weren't worried. They had already won the most important battle, the battle against fear itself. Whatever happened next, the galaxy had seen a new way to live. And somewhere in the vast fleet defending Earth, a young Empire pilot looked at his weapons console, thought about the wonders he had seen in news broadcasts, and made a choice that would change everything. The young Empire pilot's name was Sky, and his choice changed everything. As the Empire fleet prepared to fire, he broadcast all the secret documents stored in his ship's computer. Years of conspiracy, lies, and hidden plans spread across every communication channel in the galaxy. The Empire didn't just spread rumors. Sky's voice trembled but remained strong. They created the Shadow War 500 years ago. They wanted to weaken the stellar hive, to force them into submission. In the Earth Embassy, Tom and Rose watched as the truth sparked a revolution. Empire ships began powering down their weapons. Crew members, learning how their leaders had manipulated them, refused to fight. "Your lies end today," Sky announced to his leaders. "I choose the new way." The Emperor himself appeared on all screens, his face twisted with rage. "You dare betray centuries of tradition. We kept order in the galaxy." "No," Rose's voice carried across space through the crystal network. "You kept fear in the galaxy. There's a difference." The Ancient Ones moved their ships forward. Elder Light spoke, their wisdom touching all hearts. "For too long, we let fear guide us. We rejected those who were different. But humans showed us another path, the path of growing together." Tom stepped forward, his crystal-enhanced form glowing with purpose. "Every species has gifts. Every species has dreams. When we share them, we all become stronger." The Empire's fleet split apart. Most ships joined the defenders. A few retreated with the Emperor. But the threat was over. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed faster than ever. The crystal network expanded, connecting all species who wished to join. Each brought their own gifts. The desert walkers shared their secrets of surviving harsh environments. The cloud people taught others to sense approaching storms. The deep space dwellers revealed mysteries of the void between stars. Humans contributed their endless creativity and determination. The stellar hive helped everyone adapt and grow. Sky became an ambassador of change, traveling to worlds still hesitant about joining the network. "Look at what we've become," he would say, showing how his own empire biology had grown stronger through cooperation. "We didn't lose ourselves by sharing. We became more ourselves than ever." 1 year after the failed Empire attack, Tom and Rose stood in the new Galactic Council chamber. The living crystal walls pulsed with the combined dreams of 100 species. Representatives from across space gathered to celebrate a special occasion. Mary walked in, carrying a small crystal cradle. Inside lay something that had once seemed impossible. A child born of human and hive genetics, but carrying gifts from many species. "The first of a new generation," Mary announced proudly. "She has human adaptability, hive crystal affinity, desert walker endurance, cloud people intuition. She's perfect." The baby girl opened her eyes, which sparkled like stars. Her small form shifted between crystal and organic states as naturally as breathing. When she laughed, flowers of light bloomed in the air around her. "What will you name her?" Elder Light asked. Tom and Rose looked at each other, sharing thoughts across their bond. They spoke together. "Hope, because she represents everything we hoped for. A future where differences make us stronger, where change brings joy instead of fear." The assembled species cheered. Even former Empire worlds celebrated, their people finally free to grow and share and dream. Above the council chamber, the galaxy spread out like a sea of possibilities. Somewhere out there, the old Emperor and his few followers hid, clinging to their fears. But they didn't matter anymore. The age of isolation was over. Hope grew up in a galaxy where species flowed together like rivers joining the sea, where dreams crossed the boundaries of biology, where the only tradition that mattered was the tradition of growing together. And in the great dance of stars and species, life bloomed in ways no one had ever imagined before. Just as Rose had hoped, just as Tom had dreamed, just as Sky had chosen, just as hope would lead, forever reaching toward new possibilities among the endless stars.